Imagine being sealed inside a small metal capsule, hurtling toward Earth at nearly 25,000 miles per hour, over 30 times the speed of sound. Outside, the cold vacuum of space suddenly transforms into a blazing wall of plasma, where temperatures soar hotter than molten lava. Then, without warning, everything goes silent. For 4 long minutes, there is no signal, no voice, no data, just complete radio blackout. This is the most dangerous phase of re-entry, where even a minor failure could mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. As Artemis II prepares to return humans beyond low Earth orbit for the first time in over 50 years, this moment becomes more than just a technical challenge. It becomes a test of trust in engineering, physics, and human courage. Stay with me as we uncover what truly happens during those critical minutes and why they may be the most important and terrifying part of the entire mission. Inside the Orion capsule, 4 astronauts are strapped tightly into their seats, their eyes fixed forward but their minds racing. The vibrations begin as a faint buzz like a distant thunderstorm, then grow into a deafening roar pressing against the hull. The exterior skin of the capsule is ablaze. Imagine the heat of a blowtorch multiplied thousands of times, intense enough to melt titanium alloys. The friction between the capsule and the atmospheric gases at these speeds converts kinetic energy into heat, generating temperatures upwards of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of Venus and rivaling the heat of molten lava. To put it in perspective, if you were driving a car at highway speed and suddenly slammed into a wall of fire hotter than a furnace, that's the kind of brutal environment these astronauts are facing. Yet, inside, thanks to a marvel of engineering, the heat shield, the capsule remains a sanctuary, a fragile bubble of safety amidst this cosmic inferno. This is Artemis II, NASA's bold return to the Moon, with a crewed spacecraft for the first time since Apollo 17 touched down in 1972. It's not just a mission, it's a bridge spanning a chasm of more than 5 decades. Decades during which humanity's footprints faded from the lunar dust and our ambitions for deep space seemed to retreat. In this video, we'll journey through the harrowing moments of re-entry blackout, explore the intricate choreography of returning from deep space, and delve into the profound significance of Artemis II in the broader tapestry of human exploration. We'll examine the legacy of Apollo, not just the technology or the triumphs, but the cultural and psychological imprint of those missions on our collective consciousness, and why the 50-year silence in crewed lunar voyages weighs heavier than we might realize. We'll also consider what it means to step beyond Earth's protective cradle again, rekindling a flame of curiosity and courage that once lit the way to the Moon. To understand Artemis II, we must first revisit the golden age of space exploration, the Apollo era. The 1960s and early 70s were a time when the impossible became possible, driven by a geopolitical race and a collective yearning to transcend earthly bounds. Apollo 11, with Neil Armstrong's first step on the Moon, was more than a technological feat. It was a defining moment for humanity. The lunar surface became a symbol of human ingenuity, a testament to what we could achieve when faced with impossible odds. The astronauts were not just explorers, they were emissaries of Earth, carrying the dreams of millions on their shoulders. The images of Earth rising over the lunar horizon, the silent footprints etched in the regolith, and the technological marvels of the Saturn V rocket and lunar module fueled imaginations worldwide. Yet, after Apollo 17, the momentum slowed. The political will faded, budgets shrank, and public attention shifted elsewhere. The Moon became a relic of past glories rather than a destination for future exploration. For over 50 years, no human ventured beyond low Earth orbit, watching from the relative safety of the International Space Station or robotic emissaries orbiting distant worlds. This hiatus was not just a technological gap, it was a psychological chasm. The absence of humans beyond Earth's immediate neighbourhood subtly reshaped our collective identity. We grew accustomed to Earth as our sole home, our cosmic island in a vast ocean of stars. The Moon, once a beacon of aspiration, became a distant, almost mythical place, more a subject of nostalgic reverence than active pursuit. This long absence has profound implications. Imagine a world where the greatest adventures, the most daring voyages, are confined to virtual simulations or robotic proxies. The visceral reality of deep space, the crushing silence, the infinite darkness punctuated by distant stars, the fragile vulnerability of the human body exposed to cosmic radiation and microgravity, becomes abstract, a concept rather than an experience. The psychological impact extends beyond astronauts to society at large. Our narratives of exploration, discovery, and expansion dim, replaced by terrestrial concerns. Artemis II is not just a mission, it's a rekindling of the human spirit's innate drive to push boundaries, to explore the unknown despite the risks and uncertainties. Returning to the moment of re-entry blackout, it's more than a technical hurdle. It's a metaphor for this long silence. For 4 minutes, between the void of space and the welcoming arms of Earth, there is only darkness and uncertainty. The plasma sheath enveloping the capsule acts like a veil, blocking radio waves, severing communication channels. It's a reminder that spaceflight is a dialogue between human ingenuity and the unforgiving cosmos, a conversation that can be interrupted but never silenced. The engineers on the ground hold their breath, monitoring telemetry that can only return once the capsule slows enough for the plasma to dissipate. The astronauts, meanwhile, are trained to trust their instruments and each other, to endure the unspoken tension of those moments. To grasp the scale of the challenge, consider the analogy of a meteor entering Earth's atmosphere. Meteors often burn up, disintegrating into streaks of light visible from the ground. The Orion capsule, however, must survive similar conditions but with human lives aboard. Its heat shield, a complex composite of ablative materials, is designed to absorb and dissipate heat by charring and peeling away, much like a protective bark on a tree shielding the living core beneath. Behind this shield, temperatures remain manageable, but the engineering margin for error is razor thin. Any failure could be catastrophic. This makes the blackout not just a period of silence, but a crucible of trust. Trust in engineering, training, and the indomitable human will to survive. The legacy of Apollo is woven into every aspect of Artemis II. The Saturn V rocket's thunderous roar has been replaced by the Space Launch System, a new behemoth designed to carry heavier payloads farther and more safely than ever before. Yet, the spirit remains the same, a testament to human ambition and collaboration. The astronauts aboard Orion carry not only scientific instruments, but the weight of history and expectation. They are pioneers stepping into a continuum that began with the bold steps of Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, and paused for decades only to be reignited now with renewed purpose. This mission is also a mirror reflecting how far we have come technologically. The computers guiding Orion are exponentially more powerful than those that navigated Apollo, yet the fundamental principles of orbital mechanics, life support, and human resilience remain unchanged. Artemis II is more than a technological demonstration. It is a psychological and cultural milestone. It challenges us to confront the silence left by decades of absence from deep space, and to imagine what lies beyond the Moon, Mars, asteroids, perhaps even further into the abyss. As you watch this journey unfold, consider the astronauts inside that small capsule, encased in metal yet exposed to the cosmic elements, hurtling through an invisible wall of fire to return home. Their experience is a microcosm of humanity's larger voyage, marked by moments of uncertainty, awe, and indomitable hope. Artemis II rekindles a dialogue with the cosmos, reminding us that despite the vastness and danger, the human spirit remains unquenchable, forever reaching for the stars. So as we descend through the clouds of plasma and isolation, let's explore together what this mission means for the future of space exploration and for us all. Imagine stepping into the shoes of the 4 astronauts aboard Artemis II: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. Each carries a lifetime of dedication, sacrifice, and unique stories that weave together into a tapestry emblematic of humanity's relentless quest to transcend boundaries. Reed Wiseman, a man with the quiet steadiness of a seasoned mariner, hails from Baltimore, Maryland. His childhood was steeped in a fascination with flight and space, nurtured by countless nights staring at the stars, wondering about the vast uncharted ocean above. Reed's journey began in the US Navy, where he trained as a naval aviator, mastering the skies with an unyielding discipline that would later become invaluable in the unforgiving theatre of space. His career is a testament to perseverance. He flew combat missions, tested cutting-edge aircraft, and ultimately earned his wings as a NASA astronaut. The weight he carries is more than personal achievement. It's a mantle of responsibility to push the boundaries of human capability, to stand on the cusp of the unknown and beckon the rest of us forward. Victor Glover's story intersects with themes of representation and breaking barriers. Born in Pomona, California, Victor grew up in a world where the sky wasn't just a limit but a canvas waiting to be painted by diverse hands. His path took him through the ranks of the US Navy, becoming a test pilot and earning the coveted title of astronaut, with a mission to inspire a new generation of explorers from all backgrounds. Victor's presence on Artemis II is emblematic, a beacon signalling that space is not the realm of a select few but a shared frontier. His demeanour combines a grounded pragmatism with an infectious enthusiasm, embodying the duality of space exploration as both a rigorous scientific endeavour and a profound human adventure. Then there's Christina Koch, whose name is synonymous with endurance and breaking records. An electrical engineer from North Carolina, Christina's journey to the stars is marked by a relentless curiosity and an uncanny ability to adapt. She spent nearly 328 days aboard the International Space Station, setting a record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman. Her story is one of quiet determination, confronting the physical and psychological challenges of isolation and weightlessness with grace and fortitude. Christina's inclusion in Artemis II sends a powerful message about the evolving role of women in space exploration, a narrative no longer confined to the margins but central to humanity's unfolding cosmic story. She represents not only scientific expertise, but also the resilience required to endure the solitude and rigours of deep space travel. Jeremy Hansen, Canada's first astronaut to venture beyond low Earth orbit, rounds out the crew with a blend of technical acumen and international cooperation. A former Royal Canadian Air Force fighter pilot, Jeremy embodies the spirit of partnership that defines much of modern space exploration. His journey underscores how the cosmos transcends national borders, inviting collaboration that unites disparate cultures and expertise toward a common goal. Jeremy's calm composure and analytical mind provide a critical balance to the crew, ensuring that every decision is grounded in precision and a deep understanding of the machinery and environment they inhabit. Together, these 4 astronauts are not merely passengers on Artemis II, they are the living, breathing human interface between Earth and the cosmos. Their motivations converge on a shared desire to explore, to push beyond the familiar, and to return with knowledge that enriches all of humanity. Their presence is both practical and symbolic, a living proof that space exploration is as much about the human spirit as it is about technology. Turning from the humans to the colossal machine that will carry them, we encounter the Space Launch System, or SLS. This rocket is a marvel of modern engineering, a behemoth designed to hurl humans farther than they have ever gone before. At first glance, the SLS might seem like a simple tower of metal, but within its layers lie complex systems working in concert to produce an almost unimaginable force. The heart of this powerhouse is the RS-25 engines, a legacy inherited from the Space Shuttle program, but refined and upgraded to meet the demands of deep space missions. Each RS-25 engine is a symphony of precision engineering. These engines burn liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, stored separately in massive tanks, which combine in combustion chambers at temperatures surpassing 3,300 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the sun. The process is akin to lighting a controlled inferno, where every molecule of fuel and oxidizer is choreographed to release maximal energy without tearing the engine apart. The RS-25s produce a staggering 512,000 pounds of thrust each, and with 4 engines working in harmony, the total output exceeds 2 million pounds of thrust. To put this in perspective, imagine the force required to lift approximately 16 fully loaded Boeing 747 aircraft simultaneously. That's the raw power the RS-25 engines unleash to push the SLS skyward. But the RS-25 engines are only part of the story. Flanking the core stage are 2 solid rocket boosters, each standing taller than a 15-story building. These boosters provide an additional 3.6 million pounds of thrust, their solid propellant burning with a ferocity that briefly turns the launch pad into a raging inferno. Unlike the liquid-fueled RS-25s, these boosters are simpler in design, but no less awe-inspiring in function. They act as the rocket's muscle, delivering the explosive energy needed to escape Earth's gravity well in the first 2 minutes of flight. The combination of the RS-25 engine's precision and the booster's raw power creates a launch system capable of overcoming the immense gravitational anchor that Earth exerts on every object. Fuel consumption during launch is staggering. The SLS burns through approximately 730 tons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen every minute. To visualize this, imagine draining an Olympic-sized swimming pool in just a few seconds. This is the scale of fuel flow required to sustain the engine's output. The sound generated by the engines and boosters during liftoff is so intense it can rupture eardrums miles away and shake the very foundations of the launch complex. This auditory force is a visceral reminder of the energy being released, a thunderous herald announcing humanity's journey beyond our planetary cradle. Ascending beyond the launch, the crew enters the Orion spacecraft, a technological sanctuary designed to support human life in the hostile environment of space. The internal systems of Orion are a marvel of integrated engineering, each component meticulously crafted to ensure the safety, comfort and functionality of its occupants. Life support is perhaps the most critical system on board, a sophisticated network that manages air composition, temperature, humidity and waste recycling. Inside Orion, oxygen levels are maintained with precision, carbon dioxide is scrubbed using advanced chemical filters, and water is recycled through purification systems that reclaim nearly every drop. This closed-loop ecosystem is akin to a miniature Earth, a fragile bubble preserving life amid the vacuum and radiation of space. Radiation shielding within Orion is another vital aspect that cannot be overstated. Beyond the protective cocoon of Earth's magnetic field, astronauts are exposed to cosmic rays and solar particle events that can pose serious health risks. Orion's design incorporates layers of specialized materials, including polyethylene composites and aluminum alloys, which absorb and deflect harmful radiation. The spacecraft's shape and internal layout are optimized to minimize exposure, with critical areas such as crew quarters and control stations placed strategically behind thicker shielding. This is not just engineering but a delicate balance. Shielding adds weight, which in turn requires more fuel and larger engines, creating a complex dance of trade-offs that engineers must master. The human-machine interface inside Orion is where the crew's skills and the spacecraft's capabilities converge. Touchscreen displays, voice commands, and manual controls are integrated to provide intuitive access to navigation, communication, and life support systems. The cockpit is designed to reduce cognitive load, presenting information in clear, prioritized formats, ensuring that astronauts can make rapid, informed decisions even under the stress of deep space travel. The interface is a bridge between human intuition and machine precision, a partnership that epitomizes the synergy required for successful exploration. Every dial, every button, every sensor inside Orion carries a story of innovation, testing, and relentless refinement. The spacecraft must withstand micrometeoroid impacts, temperature extremes ranging from the blistering heat of sunlight to the freezing cold of shadow, and the subtle but cumulative effects of prolonged weightlessness on both hardware and human physiology. Its systems must be redundant, fault-tolerant, and capable of operating autonomously if communication with Earth is lost. In many ways, Orion is a microcosm of human ingenuity, a self-contained world designed to defy the vacuum and silence of space. As Artemis II's crew embarks on this voyage, they do so not just as individuals or as a team, but as living symbols of a collective dream. Reed's steady leadership, Victor's pioneering spirit, Christina's resilience, and Jeremy's international collaboration meld into a narrative that transcends the technical details. They are the human heart within the machine, the beating pulse that animates the cold metal and fuel. Their journey through the fire of launch, the quiet void beyond the moon, and the fiery return through Earth's atmosphere is a testament to what we can achieve when courage meets preparation and hope is fueled by knowledge. This mission isn't merely a step toward Mars or a test of new technology, it's a profound statement about who we are and where we're going. As the SLS engines roar to life and Orion's systems hum in unison, the boundaries between human aspiration and mechanical might blur, creating a moment where the infinite possibilities of space become tangible. Artemis II invites us all to look upward and inward, to consider the vastness above and the indomitable spirit within, forever intertwined on this voyage through the cosmos. Imagine sitting strapped into your seat aboard Orion, the cabin dimly lit by the soft glow of instrument panels and the faint shimmer of Earthlight filtering through the small portholes. Outside, the world you know, your home, that swirling blue and white marble suspended in endless black, is beginning to recede. The countdown has ended, the engines have roared, and the solid pulse of the trans-lunar injection, or TLI, is about to begin. This is the moment when the spacecraft will leave the protective embrace of Earth's gravity and commit to the vast, silent ocean of space that lies between you and the Moon. The TLI is, in essence, a precise, powerful shove. Picture a skateboarder pushing off a curb. That initial thrust propels them forward, carrying momentum that will carry them down the street. But unlike a skateboarder, who battles friction and air resistance, Orion's journey after TLI is a near-frictionless glide through the vacuum, accelerated by a carefully calculated burst of energy. The physics here is elegant and unforgiving. Orion's main engine fires for a few minutes, increasing the spacecraft's velocity by roughly 3.2 kilometers per second. This isn't just arbitrary speed. It's the exact velocity needed to break free from the Earth's gravitational well without overshooting or falling back. It's the difference between a leap and a plunge, a commitment to the trajectory that will take you 384,400 kilometers away from the planet you call home. That distance, 384,400 kilometers, is not just a number. It's a vast gulf of space that challenges our everyday sense of scale. To put it into perspective, if you could drive a car straight to the Moon at highway speeds, say 100 kilometers per hour, the trip would take almost 6 months non-stop. Imagine lining up over 9,500 football fields back to back. That's the stretch you're about to cross, all while floating in a capsule no larger than a small apartment. Or consider the Earth itself. The Moon is about 30 Earth diameters away. If Earth were a basketball, the Moon would be a tennis ball orbiting at the far end of a city block. This is a journey across a cosmic expanse that is both immense and intimate, a corridor through which human ingenuity threads a needle of precision and possibility. As the engine burns, the cabin vibrates subtly, a deep throbbing pulse that you can feel in your bones rather than hear. The sound is muffled, filtered through the structure of the spacecraft and the thick layers of your helmet, but the sensation is unmistakable. You are being pushed, accelerated, hurtled forward with a force that presses you into your seat, reminding you of the raw power harnessed to escape Earth's grip. The burn lasts several minutes, a sustained surge that requires your full attention, your body's muscles tense to counteract the G-forces that press you backward. Time seems to stretch and compress simultaneously. Seconds feel like minutes as the spacecraft's velocity climbs, and yet the anticipation of what lies beyond quickens your heartbeat. When the engine finally cuts off, there is an almost eerie silence. The vibration ceases, the press of acceleration lifts, and you are suddenly free floating in a weightless ballet. The transition from the controlled chaos of thrust to the calm of coasting is profound. You're now on a trajectory that will carry you away from Earth at more than 39,000 kilometers per hour, moving into the realm where Earth's gravitational dominance fades, and the Moon's subtle pull begins to take hold. This is the cusp of change, a boundary not marked by a visible line but by the shifting balance of forces that govern your flight. In this interstitial space, the view through the window transforms. Earth, once a vast enveloping presence, becomes smaller, its familiar continents and swirling clouds reduced to a delicate orb glowing with blues, greens and whites. It's as if the planet has folded into itself, a jewel suspended in infinite darkness. The light changes too. The sun's rays no longer scatter through the thick atmosphere below. Instead, they strike directly, casting stark, sharp-edged shadows. The sky is pitch black, a velvet backdrop studded with distant stars that seem to burn with steady, unwavering intensity. It is a profound visual shift, a reminder that you're now truly beyond the world. This moment often triggers what astronauts call the overview effect, a cognitive and emotional transformation experienced when seeing Earth from space. It's more than just a breathtaking sight. It's a deep, almost spiritual realization of the fragility and unity of our planet. From this vantage point, national borders vanish, political conflicts fade, and the Earth emerges as a single, living entity, suspended in the void. It's like looking at a fragile soap bubble, shimmering with life yet vulnerable to the slightest touch. The effect reshapes perspectives, fostering a sense of global citizenship and a renewed commitment to stewardship. Imagine looking back at your hometown, your family, your entire civilization, all contained within a fragile sphere no larger than a beach ball held at arm's length. This is the awakening that comes with the overview effect. As Orion continues its voyage, the silence of space deepens. There is no wind, no ambient noise, no ticking of clocks or hum of engines. The vacuum is absolute, a void so complete that sound waves cannot travel. Inside the capsule, communication is maintained through radio waves, electronic signals that bridge the silence with voices and data. Yet even these are tinged with an otherworldly quality, as if the connection itself is a lifeline stretching across a gulf of emptiness. The isolation is palpable, but so is the connection to mission control, to the spacecraft, to the crew members sharing this extraordinary experience. The distance closes slowly but relentlessly. The moon, initially a distant pale disk, begins to grow in the window. Its surface details sharpen, craters, mountains and plains rendered in stark relief by the sun's unfiltered light. Unlike Earth, which glows with life and colour, the moon's landscape is monochrome, a silent testament to billions of years of cosmic history. It is a world shaped by impacts and extremes, devoid of atmosphere, yet rich with stories waiting to be uncovered. Watching it from orbit feels like approaching a mysterious stranger, at once familiar and alien. The gravitational tug of the moon becomes more pronounced as you draw nearer. Earth's gravity, which has held you in its embrace since birth, gradually relinquishes its hold, and the moon's gravity begins to assert itself. This transition is not abrupt, but a delicate dance between two celestial forces. Imagine standing between two magnets, feeling the invisible pull of each. There is a point where the forces balance, a gravitational saddle where you momentarily float, caught between worlds. Passing this boundary, the spacecraft's trajectory bends, guided by the moon's gravity into orbit. This gravitational interplay is a marvel of celestial mechanics. The spacecraft's velocity and direction must be carefully managed to enter a stable lunar orbit, a state of free fall around the moon, where the spacecraft neither crashes into the surface nor escapes back into space. It's a precise balancing act, a cosmic choreography that has been refined over decades of exploration. As Orion settles into lunar orbit, the crew experiences another profound shift. The moon is no longer a distant destination, but a tangible place, a new home in the vastness of space. Throughout this journey, the changing quality of light plays a subtle but powerful role. Near Earth, sunlight scatters through the atmosphere, bathing the surface in soft blues and warm hues. In deep space, light is stark and unfiltered, casting sharp contrasts and deep shadows. The Moon's surface, illuminated by direct sunlight without atmospheric diffusion, reveals textures and features in high contrast, giving it an almost hyperreal appearance. This interplay of light and shadow shapes not only what you see but how you feel, the starkness emphasizing the loneliness of space, the illumination highlighting the beauty of an untouched world. The anticipation builds with every passing hour. The crew knows that each moment brings them closer to the Moon, to the culmination of years of planning, training, and dreams. Inside the capsule, this anticipation is a blend of excitement, reverence, and responsibility. They are venturing into the unknown once more, carrying the hopes of humanity on their shoulders. The silence around them sharpens their focus. The stars outside remind them of the vastness they inhabit, and the growing lunar disk offers a beacon of achievement and discovery. In these moments, time seems both infinite and compressed. The journey to the Moon is a microcosm of human exploration, measured in precise calculations and propelled by raw emotion, defined by the cold laws of physics and warmed by the fire of human spirit. As the Moon fills the window, the crew prepares for the next chapter: orbital insertion, surface exploration, and eventually the return journey home. But for now, suspended between worlds, they witness the sublime intersection of science and wonder, of technology and aspiration, as they traverse one of the greatest frontiers known to humankind. As the spacecraft glides silently along its trajectory, the Moon looms ever larger, a silent sentinel in the black sea of space. Through the small, circular window, the crew peers out at a world both alien and familiar, a landscape etched in stone and dust, shaped by billions of years of cosmic violence and geological transformation. The lunar surface, a patchwork quilt of textures and shades, unfolds beneath them in breathtaking detail. From an altitude of roughly 4,000 miles, the Moon's geography reveals itself in all its stark, rugged glory. Each feature tells a story, a chapter in the Moon's ancient biography, a testament to the relentless forces that have sculpted it over eons. The first thing that captures the eye are the vast dark plains, the Maria, those ancient basaltic lava flows that once welled up from the Moon's interior during volcanic activity long extinguished. These regions are smooth and dark, contrasting sharply against the brighter, heavily cratered highlands. The Maria appear almost like enormous ink blots on the pale lunar canvas, stretching hundreds of miles across. Their names, Mare Imbrium, Mare Serenitatis, Mare Tranquillitatis, evoke a poetic tranquility, seas of showers, seas of serenity, seas of tranquility, though they are seas of stone and silence. As the spacecraft arcs gently over the surface, the curvature of these vast plains becomes evident, their edges marked by ridges and wrinkles where ancient lava cooled and contracted. Interspersed among the Maria are countless craters, each one a frozen scar from impacts spanning billions of years. Some craters are small and sharp, like the fresh, jagged hole left by a pebble tossed into a pond. Others are vast basins hundreds of miles wide, their rims battered and eroded, their floors sometimes flooded by lava or strewn with craterlets from subsequent impacts. The largest of these basins, like the South Pole Aitken Basin on the Moon's far side, is a colossal depression, one of the largest known impact craters in the entire solar system, a reminder of a cataclysmic collision that reshaped the lunar crust. Its immense scale is humbling, dwarfing every earthly impact crater and inviting reflection on the violent dynamics of the early solar system. Rising from the surface are mountain ranges, their jagged peaks casting shadows that stretch across the lunar plains. The Apennine Mountains, visible near the Mare Imbrium, are a formidable chain, their ridges carved out by the impact that formed the basin itself. These mountains are a testament to the Moon's geological past, a scarred but majestic terrain, frozen in time. The jagged edges and steep slopes contrast with the smooth, flat Maria, creating a diverse and dramatic lunar landscape. Their heights rival some of Earth's tallest peaks, but here, without atmosphere or weather, they stand eternal and unchanging, monuments to a world untouched by wind or water. As the spacecraft continues its flyby, the crew is treated to the ever-changing perspective of this alien geography. The play of light and shadow across the surface brings out details that seem to dance beneath the sunlight, each crater rim and mountain peak casting long, sharp shadows that accentuate the ruggedness of the terrain. The grey regolith, the fine dust and broken rock covering the surface, glimmers faintly under the sun's glare, a subtle sparkle born from tiny glass beads formed by ancient impacts. The lunar soil, devoid of moisture and atmosphere, reflects sunlight differently than Earth's surfaces, lending it an otherworldly sheen. It is a desolate beauty, a landscape frozen in silence and time, inviting both awe and contemplation. Then, as the spacecraft approaches the far side of the Moon, communication with Earth fades. For approximately 40 minutes, the spacecraft and its crew are plunged into a profound silence, a blackout of signals as the Moon itself blocks all radio transmissions. This period is more than just a technical blackout. It is a moment of isolation unparalleled in human history. The spacecraft, now hidden from Earth's reach, is truly alone in the vastness of space, a tiny human outpost orbiting a silent, airless world. This signal blackout harks back to a unique chapter in the history of human spaceflight. Michael Collins, the command module pilot of Apollo 11, earned the sobriquet the loneliest human during his orbit around the Moon, while Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked its surface. For nearly 2 hours, Collins circled the Moon alone, out of radio contact with Earth and his crewmates, isolated on the far side of that silent globe. His experience is a poignant reminder of the psychological dimensions of space travel. The vast gulf of space is not just a physical void, but a psychological one as well. The sense of solitude, the awareness of being utterly cut off from the familiar, presses upon the mind with an intensity few can imagine. Isolation in space is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it is a profound reminder of our vulnerability, the fragile human presence exposed against the indifferent backdrop of the cosmos. On the other hand, it is a moment of transcendent clarity, a chance to reflect on our place in the universe. Alone behind the Moon, shielded from the noise and chatter of Earth, the crew confronts the silence that lies at the heart of space itself. This silence, both literal and metaphorical, accentuates the enormity of their journey. The fragile thread of connection that binds them to home is temporarily severed, and they float in an island of humanity amid a sea of stars and rock. For those 40 minutes, the crew's thoughts might wander to the nature of isolation, to the paradox of being surrounded by infinite emptiness, yet filled with the presence of a distant home. It is a solitude that tests the human spirit, a crucible in which courage and resilience are forged. The spacecraft becomes both sanctuary and prison, a tiny bubble of life hurtling through the void, reliant on technology and human ingenuity for survival. The Moon, once a distant, mysterious orb, is now a tangible looming presence, silent, indifferent, and utterly alien. Then, as the spacecraft crests the far side and re-emerges into Earth's line of sight, a spectacle unfolds that has become one of the most iconic images in the annals of space exploration, the Earthrise. From the vantage point of the Moon's orbit, Earth appears as a brilliant blue and white marble suspended in the blackness of space. It rises slowly over the lunar horizon, a living, vibrant world against the stark, lifeless backdrop of the Moon's grey surface. This is not just a visual event, it is an emotional and philosophical moment that resonates deeply with the human psyche. The Earthrise is a reminder of home's fragility and beauty. Against the vast emptiness of space, our planet glows with life, oceans shimmering like liquid sapphires, clouds swirling like delicate brushstrokes of white, continents of green and brown marking the diversity of land. It is a beacon of familiarity, a symbol of all that the crew has left behind and all they hope to return to. Seeing Earth from this distance, a tiny oasis of life in the cosmic desert, evokes a profound sense of connection and responsibility. It is a moment that has inspired generations of viewers, astronauts and scientists alike, underscoring the unity of humanity and the preciousness of our shared home. Emotion courses through the crew as they witness this sight. The isolation of the far side gives way to a rekindling of hope and determination. The Earthrise is a visual affirmation of their mission's purpose, a vivid reminder of why they ventured so far from home. It is a symbol of achievement and aspiration, a moment where science and spirit converge. The crew's hearts swell with a mixture of awe, relief, and humility. They are voyagers on an extraordinary journey, witnesses to the sublime intersection of human curiosity and cosmic grandeur. This vision of Earth from the Moon has echoed through history, shaping our collective understanding of the universe and our place within it. The Apollo missions, with their pioneering crew members, etched this image into the cultural consciousness, transforming our perception of Earth from an infinite expanse to a fragile singular world. The Earthrise photograph captured by the Apollo 8 crew was more than just a picture. It was a revelation, a new lens through which to view ourselves and our planet. It underscored the interconnectedness of all life and the urgent need to cherish and protect our environment. As the spacecraft continues its orbit, the crew prepares for the next phases of their mission. The lunar surface, once distant and mysterious, is now a tangible reality beneath their feet. Each crater, mountain, and mare is a potential site of exploration, a chapter waiting to be written in the story of human spaceflight. The experience of the lunar flyby, its breathtaking views, its profound isolation, and the emotional resurgence of Earthrise imbues the crew with a renewed sense of purpose. They are the heirs of generations of explorers, carrying the torch of discovery into the silent frontier. The journey around the Moon is a delicate ballet of physics and human endurance. Orbital mechanics dictate their every move, the spacecraft's velocity and trajectory choreographed with exquisite precision to ensure a successful insertion and eventual return. Yet, amidst the cold calculations and engineering marvels, the human element remains paramount. The crew's emotions, their reflections, and their shared experience transform this mission from a technical feat into a profound human odyssey. As the spacecraft completes its passage over the lunar nearside and prepares for orbital insertion, the crew carries with them the indelible imprint of the lunar flyby. The Moon, in all its desolate beauty, has revealed itself not merely as a celestial body, but as a mirror reflecting our own aspirations, fears, and hopes. It is a reminder that exploration is as much about looking inward as it is about reaching outward, that in the vastness of space we find the contours of our own humanity. In these moments, suspended between worlds, the crew embodies the spirit of discovery that has propelled humanity from cave paintings to spaceflight. The lunar flyby is not just a passage around a distant rock, it is a rite of passage, a journey through time and space that connects us to our past and points the way to our future. As the moon recedes behind them and Earth comes into clearer view, the crew is reminded of the delicate thread that links us all, a thread woven from science, courage, and the unyielding desire to understand the cosmos and our place within it. Something isn't right. It starts as a whisper, a subtle anomaly in the data streaming back from the spacecraft's sensors. The crew, floating in the quiet hum of their vessel, sense a shift beneath their feet, a feeling too intangible to pinpoint but too persistent to ignore. On the surface, everything seems normal. The stars blaze with cold light, the Earth spins serenely, and the moon's ghostly visage fades into the distance. But tucked beneath the spacecraft's belly, where the heat shield holds the line between survival and oblivion, a silent drama unfolds. To understand what's happening, we need to journey back through the history of heat shield technology, a saga of innovation and resilience written in the language of fire and air. The heat shield is the spacecraft's unsung hero, the barrier between the fragile human life inside and the inferno outside. It is the armour forged in the crucible of re-entry, where the atmosphere's brutal embrace threatens to incinerate anything daring to return home. The story begins in the early days of human spaceflight, with the Mercury program. Back then, engineers faced a daunting challenge: how to protect a tiny capsule hurtling back into Earth's atmosphere at unimaginable speeds. The solution was simple in concept but complex in execution. A heat shield made from a material that could absorb and dissipate heat by slowly burning away, a process known as ablation. Imagine standing close to a bonfire. The wood chars and crumbles, but the heat never reaches your skin. That's ablation in action, a sacrificial process where the shield's outer layers vaporize, carrying away heat and protecting the core. Mercury's ablative shields were primitive but effective. They used phenolic resin, a plastic-like substance that charred and eroded in the furnace of re-entry, peeling away like the bark of a tree under intense heat. As the capsule plummeted, the heat shield's surface would reach temperatures of thousands of degrees Celsius, yet inside the astronauts remained safe, cocooned behind that scorching barrier. Apollo refined this concept further. The stakes were higher, the spacecraft was larger, the re-entry speed faster, and the mission itself more ambitious, landing humans on the moon and bringing them back. Apollo's engineers developed a new ablative material called AvCoat, an epoxy novolac resin filled with microscopic silica fibers embedded in a honeycomb of fiberglass. This composite was revolutionary. The honeycomb structure allowed the material to expand and contract, absorbing heat efficiently while maintaining structural integrity. When exposed to the fiery plasma of re-entry, the AvCoat would char, melt, and vaporize in a controlled manner, carrying heat away from the spacecraft. AvCoat was more than just a material. It was a carefully choreographed dance of chemistry and physics. As the spacecraft barreled through the atmosphere at speeds exceeding 11 kilometers per second, the kinetic energy of its motion transformed into heat through friction with air molecules. This heat created a plasma sheath, a glowing, superheated layer of ionized gas. that could reach temperatures hotter than the surface of the Sun. The heat shield's ablative surface reacted by breaking down chemically, a process called pyrolysis, releasing gases that formed a protective boundary layer, pushing the plasma away from the capsule's skin. This boundary layer is crucial. Think of it as a cushion of protective gas, like the layer of steam that rises from a hot frying pan and prevents food from sticking. It insulates the spacecraft, preventing the searing plasma from directly contacting the heat shield's surface. As the outer layers ablate, they carry away the heat, much like how sweat cools the human body by evaporating from the skin. Fast forward to the present, and the Orion spacecraft carries this legacy forward. Orion's heat shield is a modern evolution of AVCOAT, designed to withstand re-entry from deep space missions, where speeds and thermal loads are even more extreme than low Earth orbit returns. The shield is an intricate patchwork of thousands of individual AVCOAT blocks, each precisely engineered and bonded to a titanium backing structure. This modular design allows for easier inspection and replacement, a critical feature given the extreme conditions it must endure. But during the Artemis I mission, something unexpected happened. As Orion completed its fiery return, sensors and cameras revealed a troubling phenomenon. Chunks of the heat shield's AVCOAT material were missing, a condition dubbed chunking or spalling. Instead of ablating smoothly and uniformly, the shield was shedding large pieces like a tree losing bark in a storm. This raised alarms because the heat shield's integrity is non-negotiable. Any significant loss of material could expose the spacecraft's hull to the plasma's wrath, endangering the crew and the mission itself. To grasp why this chunking occurred, we must delve into the complex interplay of fluid dynamics and thermodynamics during re-entry, particularly the so-called skip re-entry profile that Orion employed. Unlike a straightforward plunge back into the atmosphere, skip re-entry involves the spacecraft dipping into the upper atmosphere, generating lift to momentarily escape back into space before descending again. This maneuver reduces the peak heating rate and mechanical stress, akin to skipping a stone across a pond to slow its descent. However, this dance with the atmosphere introduces new challenges. As the spacecraft's surface heats up, the ablative material undergoes pyrolysis, releasing gases. Under normal conditions, these gases escape smoothly into the surrounding atmosphere. But during a skip re-entry, the external pressure fluctuates dramatically. The spacecraft moves in and out of denser layers of the atmosphere, causing rapid changes in the boundary layer's behavior. Imagine blowing up a balloon inside a rigid box with tiny vents. If the vents are too small or the pressure outside fluctuates, the balloon's surface might bulge or crack under internal pressure. Similarly, gases trapped within the porous AVCOAT structure can build up pressure beneath the surface. When the external atmospheric pressure suddenly drops during the skip phase, the internal gas pressure can exceed the material's tensile strength, causing the surface to blister and chunks to spall off. This phenomenon is exacerbated by the thermal gradients. The difference in temperature between the hot surface exposed to plasma and the cooler interior layers, which induce mechanical stresses, much like how rapid heating of a ceramic mug can cause it to crack. The chunking of AVCOAT is not just a simple peeling, but a complex mechanical failure involving microcracks propagating through the resin matrix, breaking the bonds between the epoxy and the fiberglass reinforcement. These cracks coalesce into larger fissures, eventually causing macroscopic pieces to detach. The process is analogous to the way ice sheets fracture and carve into icebergs, a slow build-up of stress culminating in sudden dramatic loss of material. This discovery during Artemis sent ripples through the aerospace community. It forced engineers to reconsider the assumptions about how Avcoat behaves under these novel re-entry conditions. The material's response to the fluid thermal environment was more dynamic and less predictable than previously thought. It underscored the harsh reality that space exploration is a continual dialogue between human ingenuity and nature's unforgiving laws. The physics behind this failure is a symphony of heat transfer, chemical decomposition, and gas dynamics. At the core is the balance between the spacecraft's velocity, atmospheric density, and the heat shield's ablative properties. The plasma sheath generated at hypersonic speeds creates a convective heat flux that the shield must absorb and dissipate. The shield's surface temperature can soar beyond 2,500 degrees Celsius, causing the resin to decompose and release gaseous byproducts. These gases, trapped within the shield's microstructure, exert pressure from the inside. Meanwhile, the fluctuating external pressure during skip re-entry acts like a fluctuating weight on the shield's surface. When Orion dips into denser air, the external pressure rises, compressing the shield. As it climbs back toward the vacuum of space, the pressure drops, allowing the internal gases to expand rapidly. This cyclical loading can fatigue the material, much like how bending a paperclip back and forth eventually snaps it. To visualize this, picture a sponge soaked with water inside a sealed container. If you squeeze the container, the water pressure inside increases. Release the squeeze, and the water pushes back, stretching the sponge. Now imagine repeating this cycle rapidly and at extreme temperatures. The sponge's structure weakens, fibers break, and pieces detach. Avcoat behaves similarly under these conditions, with the added complexity of chemical reactions altering its internal composition as it heats. The implications of this material failure extend beyond Artemis I. Future missions to Mars, asteroids, or even crewed lunar bases will rely on heat shields capable of withstanding even harsher environments. Understanding the limitations of Avcoat under skip re-entry informs the design of next-generation thermal protection systems, perhaps pushing engineers to explore new materials, ceramics, ultra-high temperature composites, or active cooling technologies. Yet, this setback also embodies the essence of exploration, the willingness to confront the unknown, to learn from failure, and to push the boundaries of what's possible. The heat shield's chunking is a reminder that even the most advanced technologies have their vulnerabilities, and that success in spaceflight depends on relentless iteration and adaptation. As the crew aboard Orion contemplates the damaged heat shield beneath them, they are part of a lineage stretching back to the pioneers of Mercury and Apollo, who faced their own perils with courage and ingenuity. The heat shield's scars tell a story of survival, a testament to human resilience in the face of cosmic adversity. In this moment, the spacecraft becomes more than metal and resin. It is a crucible where science, engineering, and human spirit converge. The chunking of Avcoat is not merely a technical problem, but a chapter in the ongoing narrative of exploration. A narrative marked by challenges that test our resolve and fuel our determination to reach ever farther into the cosmos. The heat shield's struggle mirrors our own. Just as the material must withstand searing heat and crushing pressures, humanity must endure setbacks and uncertainties on the path to the stars. The physics of ablation and the dynamics of re-entry are not just equations etched on engineers' whiteboards. They are the language of survival, the script by which we write our future in space. So, as the data continues to flow, and the engineers back on Earth analyze every fragment of information, The story of Avcoat's chunking serves as a powerful reminder. Exploration is a crucible of trial and error, where every failure is a lesson, every scar a badge of honor. It is in these moments of vulnerability that we find the strength to innovate, to transcend our limitations, and to continue the timeless quest to understand the universe and ourselves. When faced with the relentless challenge of atmospheric re-entry, NASA's engineers found themselves at a crossroads, not just of material science, but of trajectory and physics. The solution to the vexing problem of Avcoat's chunking on the heat shield was deceptively simple in concept, but profoundly complex in execution. Change the re-entry trajectory from a skip, or lifting, re-entry to a direct ballistic dive into Earth's atmosphere. This adjustment might sound like a mere flight path tweak, a minor recalibration of angle and speed, but beneath the surface lies a symphony of physics, risk, and consequence that reverberates through every fiber of spacecraft design and mission planning. Re-entry trajectories are not just lines on a map, they are the spacecraft's dialogue with Earth's atmosphere. In a skip re-entry, imagine a stone thrown across a lake, skimming the surface, dipping into the water, then rising again. Similarly, a spacecraft executing a skip re-entry enters the upper atmosphere at a shallow angle and high velocity, generating lift from its heat shield and body shape to bounce back out briefly before descending again. This technique extends the time a vehicle spends in the upper atmosphere, spreading the intense heating over a longer period and reducing peak temperatures. It's a dance of finesse, where the spacecraft uses the atmosphere's thin upper layers as a cushion, trading velocity for control and thermal management. The physics of a skip re-entry hinge on the delicate interplay of lift, drag, and gravity. The spacecraft's angle of attack, its velocity vector relative to the atmosphere, and the atmospheric density profile collaborate to create aerodynamic forces that can lift the vehicle, slowing its descent and allowing it to skip back into thinner air before the final plunge. This method reduces peak heating rates because the vehicle doesn't slam into denser layers all at once. Instead, it feels a gentler, more prolonged heating pulse, akin to a marathon runner pacing themselves rather than a sprinter exploding out of the blocks. However, this grace comes at a cost. The skip trajectory extends the time spent in the atmosphere, which means the heat shield must endure sustained thermal loads. The heat shield's ablative material, like Avcoat, is designed to erode in a controlled manner, absorbing and carrying away heat through this sacrificial process. But prolonged exposure increases the risk of uneven ablation, material fatigue, and the infamous chunking phenomenon, where pieces of the heat shield peel off prematurely. These chunks can destabilize the vehicle's aerodynamics and compromise its ability to protect the crew, an unthinkable risk when lives hang in the balance. The alternative, the direct re-entry, is the spacecraft's equivalent of a high dive into a pool. It plunges steeply into the atmosphere, converting its colossal orbital velocity into heat and deceleration forces over a shorter time frame. The spacecraft experiences a spike in aerodynamic heating and deceleration, resulting in higher G-forces, forces that push the crew back into their seats with a firmness that can feel like the weight of a small planet pressing upon them. The thermal environment is harsher, the peak heating rates more intense, but the duration of heating is shorter, reducing the cumulative thermal load on the heat shield. This approach avoids the prolonged ablation stresses that lead to chunking. In choosing a direct re-entry, NASA accepts the trade-offs. Higher G-forces mean that astronauts must be physically prepared to withstand accelerations exceeding 6 or even 7 times the force of gravity, a strain that taxes human physiology as well as spacecraft structural integrity. The peak heating rates demand a heat shield that can manage extreme temperatures in a compressed time frame, requiring materials that can ablate efficiently and maintain their protective qualities despite the sudden thermal onslaught. Yet, by avoiding the chunking regime, the direct re-entry offers a safer, more predictable heat shield performance, a crucial consideration when the stakes are crew survival and mission success. This decision underscores a timeless truth in aerospace engineering. Every solution is a compromise, a balance of competing risks and rewards. It is here that the story of Avcoat's chunking intersects with the broader narrative of human spaceflight's institutional memory, a shadow cast by past tragedies and the hard lessons they imparted. The term normalization of deviance emerges as a haunting spectre in this context. Coined by sociologist Diane Vaughan in the aftermath of the Challenger disaster, it describes the gradual process by which unacceptable risks become routine through repeated exposure without immediate catastrophe. It's a slow erosion of vigilance, where anomalies and warning signs are rationalized, minimized, or ignored until disaster strikes with brutal finality. The Challenger disaster in 1986 stands as a chilling monument to this phenomenon. Engineers at Morton Thiokol had raised concerns about the O-ring seals on the solid rocket boosters operating in the cold temperatures forecasted for launch day. These seals were known to be vulnerable to failure in such conditions, yet the launch was approved, in part due to schedule pressures and management's belief that the risk was acceptable because previous flights had succeeded despite similar conditions. This decision tragically culminated in the shuttle's destruction 73 seconds after liftoff, killing all 7 crew members and shattering NASA's confidence in its own safety culture. Similarly, the Columbia disaster in 2003 revealed how a piece of foam insulation, long known to occasionally break off during launch, was accepted as an operational hazard rather than a critical threat. Engineers voiced concerns about foam shedding, but these warnings were downplayed or dismissed. When the foam struck Columbia's wing during ascent, it created a breach that, upon re-entry, led to the shuttle's disintegration and loss of all 7 astronauts aboard. The Columbia Accident Investigation Board explicitly cited normalization of deviance as a contributing factor, highlighting how organizational complacency and communication failures allowed a known risk to become an accepted norm. These institutional ghosts linger in NASA's corridors, their lessons etched into every decision about Artemis II. The agency's ambitious mission to return humans to lunar orbit and beyond. The pressure to succeed is immense, not just to demonstrate technological prowess, but to reclaim leadership in a new era of exploration. The spectre of past failures demands rigorous scrutiny, yet the weight of political, financial, and public expectations constrain even the most robust safety cultures. Artemis II's heat shield dilemma is emblematic of this tension. The decision to shift to a direct re-entry trajectory is not just a technical fix, it is a conscious effort to avoid the creeping normalization of risk that allowed past anomalies to fester. It is a recognition that shortcuts or complacency are luxuries humanity cannot afford when stepping into the void of deep space. Every test, every simulation, every data point is scrutinized with the awareness that the margin for error is razor thin, and that the lessons of Challenger and Columbia are not distant memories but active guides. Compounding this pressure is the renewed intensity of the global space race, a contest now led by the United States and China. China's rapid advancements, from robotic lunar landings to ambitious plans for crewed missions to the Moon and Mars, have injected a new urgency into NASA's programs. This rivalry is not merely geopolitical posturing, it is a catalyst for innovation and risk-taking that propels humanity's exploration forward, but also raises the stakes and compresses timelines. China's rise as a space power challenges NASA's monopoly on deep space exploration. Their Chang'e missions have demonstrated sophisticated robotic capabilities, including sample returns from the Moon and plans for lunar bases. The Tiangong space station represents a permanent human presence in orbit, showcasing long-duration mission experience that rivals NASA's own ISS expertise. This competition fuels a climate where failure is not just a setback, but a potential strategic loss, intensifying the imperative to get Artemis II right on the first try. Yet, in this crucible of competition, the principles of careful engineering, rigorous testing, and conservative decision-making must prevail. The shift to direct re-entry is a testament to NASA's commitment to these principles, even under pressure. It acknowledges that while the cosmos beckons with dazzling promise, the path to the stars is littered with the wreckage of hubris and haste. The agency's choice reflects a maturity born from painful history, a resolve to prioritize astronaut safety and mission integrity above all else. As Artemis II prepares to breach Earth's atmosphere on its return journey, the physics of its direct re-entry trajectory will be both a challenge and a safeguard. The spacecraft will slam into the atmosphere at a steeper angle, converting its kinetic energy into heat and deceleration over a compressed timeline. The ablative heat shield will endure a sudden, intense thermal pulse, its sacrificial layers charring and vaporizing to carry away the inferno's wrath. The crew will feel the crushing embrace of high G-forces, a visceral reminder of their perilous voyage. Yet, by avoiding the prolonged chunking-prone heating of a skip re-entry, the shield's integrity will hold firm, protecting humanity's emissaries as they pass through the plasma veil between space and Earth. This story, the physics, the trade-offs, the institutional shadows, and the geopolitical backdrop, is a microcosm of human spaceflight itself. It is a narrative of daring and caution, innovation and humility, ambition and respect for the unforgiving laws of nature. It reveals how every re-entry is a dialogue between human ingenuity and cosmic reality, a test of our ability to learn from past scars and to forge a safer path forward. In the end, the heat shield is more than a technical component. It is a symbol of our fragile yet unyielding grasp on the dream of exploring the universe. Its evolution tells a story of perseverance, a testament to the engineers who wrestle with physics and risk, and to the astronauts who entrust their lives to their work. Through the crucible of re-entry, humanity reaffirms its resolve to transcend Earth's bounds, to embrace the unknown with both caution and courage, and to carry the torch of exploration into the vast and waiting cosmos. Returning to Earth from the void of space is an odyssey in itself, a dramatic finale to the silent voyage through the cosmos. It's a journey that encapsulates the delicate balance between the boundless expanse of space and the intimate gravity of home. Imagine for a moment the spacecraft, a fragile capsule of human ingenuity, hurtling back through the black velvet vastness, its trajectory calculated with meticulous precision, a cosmic thread pulling it inexorably toward the blue planet below. This path is known as the free return trajectory, a marvel of celestial mechanics and strategic planning that transforms the vast distances and chaotic motions of space into a predictable, life-saving route. The free return trajectory is essentially a graceful arc, an elliptical orbit that uses the Moon's gravity like a slingshot, propelling the spacecraft around our satellite and back toward Earth without requiring additional thrust. It's a dance choreographed by Newton and Kepler, where the spacecraft's velocity and position are balanced so perfectly that it naturally returns home if all else fails. Picture a stone skipping across a pond, each bounce carefully timed so it returns to your hand. Similarly, this trajectory ensures that if the spacecraft's engines falter or communications fail, it will still find its way back, a celestial safety net woven from the immutable laws of physics. The trajectory harnesses the Moon's gravitational pull to curve the spacecraft's path, decreasing the need for fuel and minimizing risks, allowing astronauts to rely on the cosmos itself as a guide and guardian. As the spacecraft nears Earth, tension swells like a tightening coil within the crew and the millions watching from below. The serene silence of space is about to give way to a fiery descent, a plunge into an atmosphere that is both life-giving and lethal. The approach begins at what's called the entry interface, roughly 400,000 feet above Earth's surface, a boundary where the thin edge of our atmosphere first begins to grip the spacecraft. At this altitude, the air is so rarefied it might as well be a vacuum, but it's enough to start the brutal process of deceleration. The spacecraft, travelling at speeds upwards of 25,000 miles per hour, will soon encounter increasing air density, compressing and heating the air in front of it to temperatures that can melt steel. This is the crucible, the moment where physics exerts its harshest test. Inside the capsule, the astronauts brace themselves for the onslaught. The forces they will endure are measured in Gs, multiples of Earth's gravitational pull. 8 or 9 Gs means their bodies feel 8 or 9 times heavier than normal, as if they are being relentlessly pressed down by an enormous invisible weight. To grasp this, imagine standing on solid ground and suddenly having a full-grown elephant, one weighing several tons, perched atop your chest. That is the crushing force their muscles and bones must resist. The struggle to maintain consciousness and control in the face of such overwhelming pressure. Blood rushes away from the brain towards the feet. Vision narrows to tunnel-like focus, and every breath becomes a laborious endeavour. It is not merely a physical trial, but a test of mental fortitude, resilience, and training. The psychological state of the crew during this descent is a complex weave of emotions. There is the primal fear, an ancient survival instinct triggered by the sensation of being crushed and the knowledge of the fiery barrier outside. Yet, layered atop this is an intense discipline born from rigorous preparation, the calm control that comes from knowing every procedure, every contingency. The astronauts become both warriors and scientists, their minds sharp despite the onslaught in their bodies. They are acutely aware of the ticking clock, seconds to entry interface, seconds to peak G-force, seconds to parachute deployment and the eventual splashdown or landing. Each moment is weighted with significance, every heartbeat synchronized with a countdown to safety or disaster. On the ground, the global audience is united in suspense. In living rooms, control centers, and schools around the world, eyes are glued to screens showing telemetry data, spacecraft position, and the faces of the crew. The return journey, invisible to most, is made tangible by the knowledge that lives hang in the balance. The tension is palpable, a collective holding of breath as the spacecraft crosses the threshold into the atmosphere. For many, it is a moment of shared humanity, a reminder that despite borders and differences, We're all connected by the fragile thread of exploration. This ticking clock is more than a metaphor. It is a relentless countdown to critical points along the descent. From the initial interface with the atmosphere, the spacecraft has mere minutes before the peak heating and deceleration forces occur. The heat shield, a blackened guardian forged in the fires of engineering, must perform flawlessly. Any failure here would be catastrophic, yet every test, every simulation, every past mission has contributed to a reservoir of trust. The crew's training has prepared them to monitor instruments, adjust orientation, and respond to alarms with precision born of countless rehearsals. The world waits, breathless, as the capsule plunges through the sky, a tiny speck against the vast blue, returning from the silent void with stories etched in heat and G's. As the descent continues, the physical sensations evolve. The initial crushing force of high G's gradually eases as the spacecraft slows, the atmosphere thickens and parachutes deploy. The astronauts feel their bodies lighten, the elephant lifted, replaced by the gentle sway of the capsule rocking beneath the canopy. This moment of relief is profound, a tangible victory over the immense forces arrayed against them. Yet, the journey is not over. The spacecraft must still navigate wind, waves, or rugged terrain, depending on the landing site. The astronauts' training shifts from endurance to precision, from survival to recovery. In these final moments, the emotional spectrum expands. There is joy, relief, and a profound connection to Earth, a planet that has been both cradle and challenge. The return journey encapsulates the full human experience of spaceflight, the awe of cosmic exploration, the terror of physical danger, the triumph of scientific mastery, and the unbreakable bond between those who venture beyond and those who wait. Each re-entry is a chapter in humanity's ongoing saga, a testament to our ceaseless quest to understand and inhabit the cosmos. Through the fire and the G-forces, through the ticking clock and the silent prayers, we're reminded that exploration is not just about distance travelled, but about the courage to return and share what we've learned with the world. Imagine, for a moment, hurtling back toward Earth at speeds exceeding 17,000 miles per hour, more than 22 times the speed of sound. The final descent is not merely a return, it is a celestial ballet choreographed by physics, engineering, and human resilience. Picture the spacecraft as it plunges through the upper atmosphere, where the air is thin and cold but becomes an increasingly violent ocean of friction and heat. This is the crucible of re-entry, a trial by fire that tests every ounce of preparation, every calculation, and every material innovation designed to protect the fragile capsule and its precious human cargo. Now, rewind to the beginning of this fiery passage, the infamous 4-minute plasma blackout. As the spacecraft barrels into the denser layers of the atmosphere, the air surrounding it is compressed at hypersonic speeds, heating to temperatures that can reach a staggering 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 2,760 degrees Celsius. To put that into perspective, the surface of molten lava averages around 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, so this plasma sheath is hotter than anything we experience on Earth's surface, hotter even than the inside of some industrial furnaces. This searing heat doesn't just warm the air, it rips electrons away from atoms, creating an ionized gas, a glowing, electrically charged plasma sheath that wraps the spacecraft like a blazing cocoon. This plasma sheath is both a protector and a peril. On one hand, it acts as a thermal barrier, absorbing and dissipating the intense heat generated by atmospheric friction, preventing the spacecraft from melting or burning up. On the other hand, this ionized veil interferes with radio waves, creating a communication blackout, a ghostly silence between the crew and mission control that can last several tense minutes. Imagine being in a lifeboat amidst a storm, cut off from any contact, with only the instruments and your own training to guide you through the chaos. But what exactly is happening on a molecular level? The atmosphere, composed primarily of nitrogen and oxygen, is suddenly subjected to extreme compression and heating. Molecules vibrate with such energy that collisions strip electrons free, forming a plasma, a state of matter distinct from solids, liquids, and gases. This plasma is a dense soup of ions and free electrons, which behaves like a conductor for electricity but a barrier for electromagnetic waves. It's as if the spacecraft is enveloped in an invisible, glowing shield of charged particles, radiating heat and light while severing the lifeline to Earth. Meanwhile, inside the capsule, the crew is acutely aware of the stakes. The heat shield, the unsung hero of the descent, is the thin but mighty guardian between survival and disaster. Crafted from ablative materials, this shield is designed to slowly erode, or ablate, as it absorbs and carries away heat. Think of it as a controlled sacrifice, much like the charred wood of a campfire's protective barrier against the flames. As the heat shield chars and peels, it absorbs immense amounts of thermal energy, preventing the inferno outside from penetrating the interior. Every molecule of material lost is a molecule of heat diverted, a testament to human ingenuity in material science and engineering. The heat shield is not a monolith, but a complex layered marvel. Typically, it includes a resin matrix embedded with fibers that provide structural strength. As the surface heats and begins to decompose, it releases gases that create a boundary layer, further insulating the spacecraft. This process is meticulously tested and simulated, but each re-entry is a unique event, a dance with unpredictability, where the margin for error is razor thin. As the plasma sheath gradually dissipates, air density increasing yet temperature and velocity decreasing, the radio signals begin to pierce the electromagnetic fog. The blackout lifts like a curtain, restoring the connection to Earth. For mission control, this moment is a collective breath held and then exhaled in relief. For the astronauts, it is the first sign that the worst is over, that their vessel has withstood the furnace. Next comes the choreography of deceleration. The spacecraft, still plummeting at supersonic speeds, must slow down dramatically to ensure a safe landing. This is where the parachutes take the stage, a sequence of mechanical and aerodynamic marvels that convert velocity into controlled drag. Picture the initial deployment of drogue chutes, small but powerful, designed to stabilize and slow the capsule. These chutes are akin to the pilot chutes on a skydiver's rig, pulling out the larger main parachutes in a carefully timed sequence. The physics of drag is straightforward yet profound. When an object moves through a fluid, in this case the atmosphere, it experiences a force opposing its motion. The parachutes vastly increase the effective cross-sectional area of the falling capsule, multiplying drag force and reducing speed. This is the difference between a deadly impact and a gentle splashdown. The forces involved are immense. The parachutes must withstand sudden opening shocks of hundreds or thousands of newtons, and their fabric and rigging are engineered with redundant strength to prevent failure. As the drogue chutes stabilize the descent, the main parachutes unfold, billowing like giant flowers of nylon and Kevlar, their canopy surfaces capturing the air and slowing the spacecraft to a manageable terminal velocity. This terminal velocity is carefully calculated to balance a descent slow enough to ensure crew safety, yet fast enough to prevent drifting off course. The sequence from drogue to main chutes is choreographed down to fractions of seconds, each moment critical. Finally, the spacecraft reaches the ocean surface, the Pacific, vast and waiting. The splashdown itself is a carefully engineered event. The capsule's shape and buoyancy are designed to survive the impact with waves and currents, to avoid capsizing and to protect the crew inside from jolts and shocks. Water, while seemingly gentle, can exert enormous forces on an object moving at even modest speeds. The angle of entry, the state of the sea, and the timing all contribute to the success of this final contact. Once the capsule rests on the ocean, the recovery teams spring into action. Aircraft and ships, strategically positioned and equipped with tracking technology and rescue gear, converge on the coordinates. The recovery operation is a ballet of precision and urgency. Helicopters hover overhead, lowering divers and medical personnel. Inflatable rafts and cranes assist in securing the capsule and aiding crew egress. For the astronauts, this moment is a transition from isolation to reunion, from the alien environment of space to the familiar embrace of Earth's atmosphere and its people. The emotional weight of splashdown is immense. After months or years of training, years of dreams, and days of intense physical and psychological challenge, the astronauts emerge from their vessel. They are greeted by teams who have waited on the edge of the ocean, watching and hoping. The reunion is a human moment etched in time, a reflection of the courage, dedication, and spirit that drive space exploration. It is a reminder that every mission is a human story, as much as it is a technical feat. Through the lens of this return journey, we can see the full arc of spaceflight. The plasma blackout is no longer just a mysterious gap in communication. It is a fiery crucible, a test of materials and minds. The heat shield is not merely a panel beneath the capsule, it is a sacrificial guardian, a product of decades of research in chemistry and physics. The parachutes are not just fabric and cords, they are carefully timed instruments of physics, transforming velocity into survival. And the splashdown is not just a landing, it is the culmination of a voyage, a moment of reunion and relief. In the end, the final descent is a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of knowledge and safety. It is a reminder that exploration is not a single act, but a continuous cycle of preparation, risk, endurance, and return. Each capsule that emerges from the plasma sheath, each parachute that opens against the rush of air, each splash that disturbs the ocean's surface, is a chapter in our collective story, a story of courage, innovation, and an unquenchable thirst to reach beyond the horizon and come home again. As the ripples of Artemis II's splashdown fade into the vastness of the ocean, the stillness that follows is not merely the calm after a storm, it is the quiet before the next great leap. The aftermath of this mission is a profound moment, a turning point where the dreams of yesterday begin to crystallize into the realities of tomorrow. Artemis II, humanity's first crewed mission beyond low Earth orbit in nearly half a century, is more than a demonstration of technology or a fleeting spectacle of bravery. It is a living proof of concept, a tangible bridge connecting the ambitions of our present to the pioneering footsteps of our future. What Artemis II fundamentally proves is the resilience and reliability of the systems that will carry us deeper into space than ever before. It validates the Orion spacecraft's life support systems, navigation, and communication protocols under the unforgiving conditions of deep space. the region where Earth's comforting grip loosens and the unknown tightens. It confirms the robustness of the Space Launch System, the most powerful rocket ever built, capable of hurling massive payloads and crews beyond our planet's protective embrace. The mission's successful execution of complex maneuvers, from translunar injection to lunar flyby and safe return, is a ballet of physics and engineering, choreographed with precision and performed flawlessly. Each heartbeat of the crew, each data packet streamed across the void, each thruster burn is a testament to the countless hours of human ingenuity poured into this venture. But Artemis II is not the destination. It is the prologue. The roadmap laid out by NASA and its international partners charts a path toward Artemis III, the mission that will once again place human boots on the lunar surface. This is not merely a symbolic act of revisiting a dusty footprint. It is the rekindling of humanity's permanent presence on another world. Artemis III will see astronauts descend to the Moon's south pole, a region rich in water ice and geological mysteries, where the shadows of craters hold clues to the solar system's history and the potential for sustainable habitation. This mission will leverage the lessons of Artemis II and the infrastructure of the Lunar Gateway, a modular space station orbiting the Moon, serving as a staging ground and service hub. The Lunar Gateway represents a paradigm shift in how we approach space exploration. Imagine it as a cosmic crossroads, a bustling spaceport where spacecraft dock, astronauts prepare, and robotic systems maintain a steady flow of supplies and data. It is a collaborative endeavour, drawing on the expertise and resources of multiple nations, embodying a spirit of unity in humanity's quest beyond Earth. The Gateway's orbit allows for flexible mission profiles, enabling rapid responses, extended stays, and even serving as a laboratory for studying the effects of long-term space habitation. It is both a technical marvel and a symbol, a testament to our ability to build complex adaptive systems in the harshest environments imaginable. Beyond the Gateway and Artemis, lies the vision of a lunar base, an outpost that will grow from a cluster of habitats into a thriving settlement. This base is conceived not as a fleeting encampment but as a foothold, a place where science, industry and human life interweave. Envision solar arrays unfurling like metallic wings, mining rovers extracting ice and minerals, 3D printers fabricating tools from regolith, and greenhouses nurturing Earth's fragile flora under artificial skies. The moon base will be a crucible for developing the technologies and social structures necessary for living off-world: closed-loop life support systems, radiation shielding, autonomous energy grids, and resilient communication networks. It will be a place where the boundary between survival and thriving blurs, where humanity learns not just to exist beyond Earth, but to build a home. Yet the moon is but a stepping stone. The ultimate horizon is Mars, our red neighbour and the next grand theatre of human exploration. The journey to Mars is a monumental challenge, orders of magnitude more complex than lunar missions. It demands advances in propulsion technology, life support sustainability, psychological resilience, and interplanetary navigation. The moon base and the Lunar Gateway are essential proving grounds for these capabilities, dry runs for the longer, harsher voyage. Mars will test our ingenuity, endurance, and capacity for cooperation. It will push us to innovate in ways that ripple back to Earth, improving life for all. Why do we embark on this cosmic odyssey? Why do we risk lives, pour billions of dollars, and marshal the collective intellect of nations to push ever outward? At its core, exploration is woven into the very fabric of life. It is an ancient biological imperative, etched into our DNA by countless generations of ancestors who ventured beyond the familiar in search of food, shelter, and understanding. The same restless spirit that drove early humans to cross vast savannas and storm turbulent seas now propels us into the celestial ocean. It is the flame that kindles curiosity, the hunger for discovery, and the drive to transcend limitations. Philosophically, space exploration challenges us to confront our place in the cosmos. It demands a humility born of perspective, the recognition that Earth is a fragile oasis suspended in a vast, indifferent universe. The pursuit of the stars is a reflection of our quest for meaning, for connection, and for continuity. It is a statement of hope, a declaration that despite the immense challenges, we choose to reach, to learn, to grow. In touching other worlds, we come to understand ourselves more deeply, our fragility and resilience, our capacity for wonder and innovation. As humanity stands at this threshold, between the cradle of Earth and the expanse of space, the story of exploration unfolds like a symphony, each mission a movement, each discovery a note, harmonizing into a grand opus of progress. Artemis II's splashdown is not an end but a resonance, echoing through the corridors of time, inspiring the next generation of explorers and dreamers. The moon awaits, not as a distant orb of mystery, but as a stage for human destiny, a place where we will build, learn, and prepare for the voyage to Mars and beyond. In the vast silence between the stars, we carry the voices of countless ancestors, the hopes of today's children, and the promise of tomorrow's yet unwritten. Our species is, at its essence, a voyager, restless, curious, unyielding. The cosmos is not a cold void, but a canvas, vast and inviting, upon which we will paint the story of our courage, our creativity, and our unbreakable will to explore. The stars are not distant points of light. They are the beacons guiding us toward a future where humanity's place is not bound by gravity or geography, but defined by our boundless imagination and indomitable spirit. The journey has only just begun.